I think drifting in America sucks because we have shitty tracks. Like, Japan doesn't have this problem because they built all their tracks during the bubble economy when there was just money getting dumped in just for shits and giggles. If you want to keep up with someone at Ebisu Toge, like, you can't just show up with a 450 horsepower fucking V8 in your shitbox, whatever. Americans overbuild their cars because we come from a legacy of circle track and drag racing. Those are very builder-centric series. You can put like some fucking 17-year-old kid behind the wheel, and like, if he can keep the thing going, like, he's just gonna do well. If we're going to focus on why the drifting community and drivers are underwhelming, it has to come back to the environments that are shaping their decision making. We see in other countries, they can drive their car to a track, pay an affordable day rate, and then drive all day. And we can't do this in America because the liability of the individual falls on the track as opposed to on the individual. And this makes track days inaccessible and unaffordable if there's even a track within your area. So people go to the street. And what do we have? A bunch of grids and big fat fucking 6-lane highways. Like, you can go to a mountain road, but that's a really bad place to cut your teeth. Usually the margins for error are very low. You have a lot more chaos as far as animals coming into the road and things like that. And additionally, if you're stupid, if somebody happens to be going down the road at that hour and you weren't expecting it and you come around a blind corner and you plow into them head on, like, it's just bad. It's just not, like, if you do it smart and you do it right, great, you know? We also have this problem where drifting is getting priced out, which kind of sucks. Basic napkin math. You might get, depending on how your track is run, 15 laps in a day, and odds are it's going to be at a really mid-ass track that isn't challenging, and it'll probably cost you maybe $1,000 to go, $300 for a ticket, maybe another $100 on like gas and fuel and stuff like that. Maintenance to your car, tires. You fuck up and hit a rumble strip in the wrong way and destroy your steering rack, and you're, depending on your chassis, potentially out another $500 to $1,000. Like, what do we have? US Air, kind of, but that's like a very slow, flowy roller coaster.
Our main event, Final Bot 9 at US Air. Cars are, some of them are as cool.
We had Pat's Acres, kind of, but that hasn't run in years. We fortunately have Villains, which is like a mirrored flip of Mahon, which is cool. Really happy it's there. However, the nearest city is 4 hours away. And if you don't have a tow rig, you're not driving your car there. Maybe if you have a stock Z, or potentially if you have a stock like FRS, but like, even that second one is iffy. If you're driving a 35-year-old Nissan with a turbo on it, you can't expect to make it home. We do have Willow, which is very cool. That's actually a great track, and you can see that the quality of the drivers there is much higher, but it also attracts drivers of a much higher caliber and requires a higher price tag to operate. Not to mention, if you're local to it, you're paying a pretty high tax on a lot of vehicles that would be a viable choice. You can get away with a cheap car like a Volvo. I did for years, but you ultimately find yourself limited by the chassis. Shitty options for cars, shitty tracks, getting 4 laps in a night and having 40-minute long lines. Par for the fucking course. And if you don't want to suffer through a potentially terribly run track day, you have to either be fortunate enough to live like in Texas near Lone Star Drift or some other actually well-run series, you know, maybe Englishtown, or you go to the street. And that doesn't really even foster very high quality driving anyway. Womp. We're fucked. It's over. It's so over. Potential solutions. I want to look on the bright side, and I want to have hope about this stuff. Most tracks in this country, you already need a tow rig to practically go to, unless you happen to live right by them. So cars that can't really be registered on the street, kit cars, things like that, become a more viable option. Maybe there could be a tube chassis, cage kit, something with good jigs that just go straight together. You can blast together with a Harbor Freight welder. Your rickety-ass chassis that feels like it's falling apart. You can put it over potentially newer hardware and suspension, all Heim jointed and solid, and have a wonderful car that'll last you a long time and be tough. If there's one thing that can really be taken from circle track racing, it is the strength and modular design. People who have very large amounts of money could come in and build good tracks, but they would have to be good drivers, and they would also have to have driven on good tracks. So if you're somebody and you have a bunch of money and you're interested in drifting and want to push the sport forward out of passion, you should go to the greatest grassroots tracks and really think about what makes them good to drive on, what encourages skill, and what also allows a low enough barrier to entry that the dumb ass motherfuckers around here can actually handle it. Fix the tracks, make cars cheaper. Drifting is now viable into the future. And you can only really make cars cheaper by increasing supply, because if drifting becomes more accessible, demand is going to go up, which is what's been happening. That's why Miatas are $5,000 now, even though they're not drift cars. Sorry. Are we serious? We've seen a decline in the style events. People are now building final bout cars instead of building style cars and then getting invited to final bout. I can talk about that in a different video. Peace. Get the fuck out of here.